Hey guys, it's Roots. We're going to continue our Sunday series today. Last time, Miss Vida, she better watch out because Miss Henry was going to get her. But she's learned her lesson, I hope. Sometimes it takes more than one lesson. Well, Henry, has a stall in town and she sells her creams and poultices and things like that she thinks that the town people need. She had a little stand, wasn't much, something that Brodus had built for. A few little crates, had a little bench for her to sit on. Of course, she had her water and her food for the day, and she'd go down sometimes in the colored part of town if she needed to use the facilities, you know what I mean? Because you couldn't go to any of the stores for that. She'd sit all day long and sell things, creams and such to the ladies that came by, or to their servants, or to their children as they walked through the town. She'd sat there for many years, and people were used to her. They always thought, as she had her little pad and paper, that she's writing out tickets for what she's making. Sometimes she wrote out recipes, but mainly she sat there and she watched everybody. She wanted to see exactly what they were up to. There's a wagon going down the street. I wonder where they going. She'd kind of remark on that to herself because Brodus was out selling things off of his vegetable cart. There's Miss Lamb, that poor little girl. Her name should be Miss Lamb. Her husband beats her every night. How many poultices have I sold that woman for bruises? I better write her down for some more of that. Because last night I know I saw him riding down that road on that horse like a crazy person. There's Miss Jones. That woman, oh, that poor woman. I'm going to have to write her out a recipe too. And here comes Vida. Let's see what this girl has to say for herself today. Here she comes, sashaying down the street again. She'd given Henry the cold shoulder ever since she found out that Brodus was not going to have anything to do with her. As Vida walked down the walkway, Henry watched her. But the other thing that she watched was all the eyes that were on Vida. The wolf eyes of the men. Because Vida was a beautiful girl. Long, beautiful hair that she wore kind of piled into a bun on top of her hair. Had clothes that none of the women in the town could afford because Vida was from Michigan and she says she got a lot of her things from New York. So she was kind of a fancy dresser. As she's walking by, the women that looked out of the shop windows would shake their head and look at her so angry, and the men would look at her like they could eat her for a meal. She'd better watch out, because during this time, colored girls that were too pretty and didn't have a family to protect her and walk round the town with her, you have to watch out where you went. Just because you were a school teacher from the north didn't mean that was going to protect you. Here she comes. Hey, Henry, how you doing? What you doing? Oh, I'm just writing out some recipes. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just go ahead and get to it. I want some more of that rose cream that you made, that lavender. I just really didn't like the smell of it. So I think I'll do rose this time. Henry thinks to herself, she best warn this girl. She just doesn't have the sense of a fly. Miss Vida, you've been a good school teacher. Yes, I have. I think that I have done so well with those children. Well, yeah, I understand you have done well with the children, but Miss Vida, you've got to be careful, darling. You got on your really pretty clothes. The town women don't like that. And have you noticed how the men look at you? Well, yeah, they always say, Miss Vida, you got on the prettiest dress, and I just love your parasol. Well, honey, do you know the story of that last little teacher and why she left? She left town with a man's baby in her stomach, and she wasn't married. They dragged out in the woods, and three of them did things to her that I can't even talk about. Are you just saying that to me just 'cause you're jealous? No, I'm trying to tell you, darling. You got to be careful where you go in this world. You got to watch always. Always be on the watch, 'cause someone is always watching you. I sit here during the day and I see people, and most of the time they don't see me because I'm invisible. Well, that's just because you got on that old ugly bonnet and that old dress. Well, why would I let myself shine out here for the wolves to get me? Well, if it was me, honey, I'd try to fix myself up. You got that good-looking man, Brodus. I'd try to fix myself up a little better. I do fix myself up at home. I put on my best. I let my hair down. I look pretty fancy some days. But you don't always have to display everything you have for everybody to see. Some things you got to keep private. Well, do you have the rose cream or not? Well, yeah, here you go, darling. You be careful now. That poor girl. I hope nothing happens to us. Sometimes you just can't separate foolishness out of some people's hearts. Vida sachets on by. Mr. Jones sees her. Mr. Lamb sees her. That horrible Mr. Walton, who's involved in the incident, sees her too. We're going to pray for her, and I'm going to tell Brodus that he's going to have to talk to the school board, because I think it's going to happen again. You have to be so careful out in that world. So she writes down a few more recipes and continues to sit. The town walks back and forth, by and by, and they see Miss Henry. They always see Henry, but they don't see her because she's invisible. Like she can tell you every day on Thursday when Miss Walton walks out of that back door, out of her front door, I should say, that little girl that walks in the back door. Everybody in town whispers about it, but nobody pays attention. And how Miss Lamb is always limping about town talking about she's falling down, and always at the church. And her husband sitting out there in that rocking chair, spitting and cussing all day long. Little towns have the ugliest secrets. You just have to watch out. Be careful. Don't let everybody see everything, but watch them. We don't always have to make so much noise or let our light shine. We got to be careful and be on the watch. You girls be careful out there today. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.